Daisy, can you answer that question? I'll put it easier to you. What is the opposite of negative 10? What is the opposite of negative 10?
Positive 10, Miss.
Positive 10. Positive 10. Very good. So, very good, Daisy and Ryan. So the answer is positive 10, right? The opposite of the negative 10. So what happens is that when you add those to the number and its opposite, you always get 0. That's the inverse property for addition. Now, the inverse property of multiplication is the one about the reciprocal. Do not confuse this with the 0. Many of you are confusing the inverse property, but the word itself says inverse property of multiplication, right? That means that when you have a number and you multiply it by its reciprocal, the answer will always equal to 1. So anyone wants to share the next property that we covered? We covered this in our second day. The property, not the law, the property. What was a property that we covered on our second day of this week? I'll give you a hint. You have to see if the result, let's say if you add two numbers, you have to see the result in order to see that it follows the property or it does not. You have to compute any arithmetic operation with that one. So anyone has an idea? Anyone remembers what we covered? Let's see. Who can answer this question? Krista? Krista, could you answer the question? What was the property that we covered on the second day? Miss, what letter it started? You excuse Miss, with what letter it started? With a C.
The commutative property, Miss.
No, we are not talking about we covered something before the commutative property.
Miss.
Yes?
Close under operation.
Very good. We covered close under an operation property. And this one is just a set has a closure property under a particular operation if the result of the operation is always an element of the set. And we use the example with the integers, right? If we add 2 plus 2, we get 4, which is also an integer. So it is closed under the operation of addition. But we cannot say that it is closed under the operation of division, because when we divide 2 and 3, we get a decimal, which is not an integer. Okay? Now, some of you remember the commutative law more. So what does that law state? What does the commutative law state? Okay, count on Pascual. Is Pascual here? You can type your thoughts or you can share it with the class. Nobody will judge you for sharing, okay? So, Pascual, could you repeat, please?
What was the question?
Could you state what the commutative law says, either for addition or multiplication, or you can just combine the two of them to give a broad definition?
Miss, can I share?
Um, just a moment. Let's see if Pascual has something to say, and then you can share. Okay. Do you want to was that Ernest? Do you want Ernest to help you, Pascual? Hello, Pascual. You want Ernest to help you, or you can figure it out by yourself? Okay, Ernest, go ahead.
Miss, the property that allows two or more factors to be multiplied in any order without changing the product.
Okay. The commutative law you shared for multiplication, either for addition or multiplication, the order in which you add or multiply two real numbers does not affect the result. So very good, Ernest. Yours says, very good, Kevin, and multiply together any order. Very good, Yuri. So the commutative law says that it doesn't matter the order in which you add or multiply two numbers, the result will always be the same. If you are not getting the same result, then you are multiplying wrong, okay, or adding wrong. So we also covered the associative law. What was the associative law about? Okay, Isari, do you want to share what does the associative law say? What does the associative law says? Anyone wants to help her?
Me, Miss.
Yes, Yuri, go ahead.
No matter how the number are grouped, the answer will always be the same.
Okay, very good. The associative law says that when you add or multiply any three real numbers, the grouping or association of the numbers does not affect the result. Okay, so that goes for both addition and multiplication. And we covered the last thing yesterday, which was the distributive law. Now, what does that law state? What does the distributive law state? Lisette, can you answer that one? Lisette, could you answer that question? If not, we'll ask Yaretze to help you in answering that question. What does the distributive law says? We just covered this yesterday, so it should be
Miss,
fresh in your minds. Yes?
can I answer,
Who
Miss?
was?
Miss, can I help?
Yes, sure. You could help. Okay, Lisette. Who was that? Yuri? Yuri, did you want to help?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, what does the distributive law state?
It can be used to simplify division problems by breaking apart or distributing the numerator into smaller amounts to make the division problem easier to solve.
Okay, but that's correct, but we didn't cover this in yesterday's class. We covered a next definition that everyone should know. Okay, is Sarah just answer? That's correct.
Miss,
Yes, Ernest, you want to give
but,
your example?
but you first need to multiply before adding or multiplying again.
Okay, good. So what the law states is that we can find it. Multiplying a number by a group of numbers added together is the same as doing each multiplication separately. Okay? So we have an example there. Now, this was fresh in your mind. Stop sharing. Now I will share the document for your assignment. Okay, present now. Okay. Okay, so this is your activity 1. This is due tomorrow. So we have covered all the properties and all the laws. It's okay, Yuri, don't worry. I see that you remember something about your standard 6 notes, right? So remember to follow up with this activity so that you can um, take notes and you are able to send your work on time. So section 1, students will rewrite the corresponding number property or number like the law described by each statement in the space provided. So multiplying any number by 0 yields 0. For example, a times 0 equals to 0. Which number property or number law is that one? Multiplying any number by 0 yields 0. For example, a times 0 equals to 0. Remember, guys, this is your work, so start sharing, start to make some annotation so that you finish your work on time. We can solve this together. So anyone wants? Okay, so what we will do is, I think you can see the 7 numbers. Take a look at all, and I will ask in the list that I have here to answer the question. So number 1, multiplying any number by 0 yields 0. For example, a times 0 equals to 0. Alan, which property is that one? Alan, additive of multiplication. That will be the identity, okay? But that's correct.
Give me a sec, miss. Give me a second.
Okay, but they have already answered for you, okay?
Yes, I can
So
hear
it's
you.
the identity property of multiplication, since many of you, let's see if I can write it here. And the second one, adding 0 to any number leaves it unchanged. For example, a plus 0 equals to 0. Which one is that? I have in my list. The second one is Amirani. Which property is number 2? Adding 0 to any number leaves it unchanged.
Miss,
Yes?
identity of addition.
Okay, the identity property of addition. Very good. Number 3, when two numbers, I hope you are writing this in your notebooks, guys, because it's helping you. When two numbers are added, the sum is the same regardless of the order of the addends. For example, A plus B equals to B plus A. Which property or law is this one? Have
Commutative law of addition.
Okay, very good. The commutative law of addition. Number 4, the additive inverse of a number A is negative A so that A plus negative A equals to 0.
Inverse for number under addition.
The inverse for addition, that's the inverse property, right? Number 5, when 3 or more numbers are multiplied, the product is the same regardless of the order of the multiplicands. For example, we have in brackets A times B, and then outside we have times C, and then we see A times, and group together we have B and C. So which law is that one?
The commutative law.
No, that's not the commutative law,
Miss,
but
it's the
that was a
associative
guess,
law of
right?
multiplication.
The associative law of multiplication. Very good. Number 6, when 3 or more numbers are added, the sum is the same regardless of the grouping of the addends. And have an example there.
Associative law of
Law of
addition.
addition.
Okay, that is the associative law of addition. Very good. Number 8, the sum, is it number 8 or number 7? Number 7, the sum of two numbers times the third number is equal to the sum of each addends times the third number. For example, A times group together we have B plus C, and then we have A times B plus A times C. That is which law? The distributive law, says Amirani. Very good. That is the distributive law. Number 8, the sum of any number and 0 is the original number. For example, A plus 0 equals to A.
Identity for addition.
The identity property for addition. Very good. Number 9, the multiplicative inverse of a number A is 1 over A, so that A times 1 over A equals to 1. Which property is this one?
Inverse for number under multiplication.
Inverse property under multiplication. And the last one, when two numbers are multiplied together, the product is the same regardless of the order of the multiplicands. For example, A times B equals to B times A.
Commutative law of multiplication.
The commutative law of multiplication. Very good. Miss Krista, will you explain the section 2, or have you is Miss Maya around?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Oh, okay. So I think I don't have the rest here. I'll stop sharing this one. And just a moment. Okay. So this one, the second one is your second activity. So in the first section, you will fill in the blank spaces by following the distributive property of numbers. So it makes it clear that you are to use the distributive property. So because we are running out of time, we will do like 2 of them and you will do the rest, and we will take a short look at the activity to the bottom, okay? So it gives an example there with the 35 times 2 equals 30 times 2 plus 5 times 2 equals to 60 and so on. So the second one, 67 times 2 is equal to blank times 2 plus 7 times 2. And it has 120 plus 14. So the key thing here is that you know that the first two numbers should result in 120, right? Because we have a blank space here and we have times 2 and we know that that result is 120. So what number could go in that line there?
60.
60. 60 times 2 equals to 120. Very good. Just a moment. Okay. 29 times 6. Oh, we have 2 blank spaces there. 29 times 6 equals
20 times
174.
20 times 6 plus 9.
20 times 6 plus
9.
9 times 6. Okay, very good. And so on. That is what you will do for this activity. You see the ones at the bottom have no numbers, but what you can do with this one, because it only has 2 numbers, 29 times 6, you can break out one of these numbers, right? Have you noticed that? That's what we are doing? So if we see 6 at the back here, then we know that it is the 21, I mean the 29 that can be separated into 20 plus 9. Is that correct? 29 can be separated into 20 plus 9, and then we just put that in brackets and we times 6, and that will be able to help you to make this step easier, okay? Now the last one is just matching the properties and the laws with its corresponding sentence or rule. So we have the associative property of addition. If we are to match with the ones to the right, which would we choose? Is it A, B, C, D, E, F, G? What is the associative property of addition? From the letters that we have there. D says um good try. Good try, Kevin. But it's D is not the associative property of addition. The associative property of addition, remember, states that it doesn't matter the grouping or the associations, the answer will be the same. Edwin says B, very good. A plus B plus C equals to A plus B plus C. It doesn't matter the grouping, the answer will be the same. Now the commutative property of addition. I will take Kevin's response for that one, right? That is D. The additive identity property of 0. Anyone? What is the identity property of 0? Amirani says K, very good. The fourth one, existence of additive inverses. Remember the keyword additive inverse. E says Amirani. You could try again, Amirani. Additive inverse. What is the additive? Very good, Amirani. She says F, and that is correct. So we will stop the activity here. Remember to complete this in your own. There is nothing new in this activity. You have covered everything. So now for the last thing, I want you to see it. One thing you learned, but please do not only tell me the associative law. What about the associative law you learned? Because you can tell me the associative law, but what does that say? That only says the associative law. If you say, Miss, I learned that the associative law of addition is this and this and this, that proves to me that you have learned something. So we just have 2 minutes. If anyone wants to share, or do I have to call again? Because that was it with the laws and properties. Next week, we start another topic. Ryan, do you want to share?
Me, miss.
Who was that?
Me, miss.
Okay, Gerald, go ahead.
The identity property. When a number is added to 0, the result in the number itself is equal. Wait, the result is the number itself.
Okay, very good. Um, who was typing in the chat box? We have Mariel Castaneda says to solve the equation, the associative law x for multiplication. Alan, this is any number 0 is 0. Very good. So very good. You guys did get some of the key things for this topic. So if you have any questions, you may ask also. It's time already. But if you have any question or any confusion, you can always ask or let me know. Oh, I didn't see that one.
But it's the
Let's see
same thing
who
I was
said
saying,
that.
Miss. He said any number to zero is zero.
Oh, I didn't saw that one. Okay, that is not true, right? Any number added to zero is the number itself. So that was it for today. Very good observation. Okay, so that was it for today. You guys have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, Miss.
Bye. Okay.
Bye, Miss. Have a
Bye,
nice
Miss.
rest of day and a nice weekend.
Bye.
Miss
Bye.
Bye,
Amy,
Miss.
Katzim,
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Bye.
Bye, bye, Miss Christy.
have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
I saw the live on Facebook. Bye.
Bye, Miss.
Bye.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss Katim. Bye, Miss Mai.
Bye. Bye, Ryan. Bye, Pascal. Bye. Miss, I sent you my unit last night, I think, and also I sent you a copy of what I made for the package for next week. But I left a section for your biblical integration. Yes. Yes. Yesterday, yeah. Okay. Because yeah, I put it in the drive. How could you repeat, Miss? Uh-huh. Yeah, it was multiplication. Yeah, I must have slipped that. Yes. Okay, Miss. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Miss. Thank you.